Russia held its massive Victory Day celebrations today in Moscow, marking the defeat of Nazi Germany. And Vladimir Putin was on hand giving a speech about the future of Russia and told the West and NATO that they should study the history of World War II. It seems many people have forgotten the history of World War II, that you cannot defeat Russia with this kind of bullying and intimidation, he said. Meanwhile, Ukraine says someone tried to assassinate their president, Vladimir Zelensky, the beloved president of Ukraine. They blame it on Russia. And you could see the Western media parroting this all over the place. A Russian plot was foiled by Kiev in order to stop these assassins. And so Zelensky is okay. He's back to working right now. Well, we asked former CIA agent Larry Johnson to come on the show because he predicted months ago that Zelensky was not long for this world and that once he used up his usefulness, those three-letter agencies would find a way to dispose of him, it seems. Larry, welcome back to the show.
Hi there. Good to be with you.
So what do you make of this assassination plot? First of all, this over a few days ago. I don't know the full details of it, but I'm curious how this came about, how they ran to the press to tell it was all foiled, but you had predicted this months ago. What do you know about this?
Well, I don't know much other than what I've seen, read online. But this is like the movie The Usual Suspects. And in this case, it's not Russia. I mean, look, if Russia wanted this Zelensky dead, he would have been dead long before now. They don't need to recruit two guys from the inside to, give him an exploding cigar or lace his cocaine with arsenic or, to do something like that. They just, send an Iskander or Kansal missile and take him out. What's going on is there is growing anger among the neo-Nazi elements in Ukraine towards Zelensky. That's number one. And sort of peripheral to that, you have the followers, the troops loyal to Zelensky, who was removed from his post and is gone missing. Ostensibly he was going to be ambassador to London. That has not worked out. So he's facing a lot of internal turmoil. And there are, some other indicators. The United States had Klitschko, the mayor of Kiev, come to Washington. So they're working with him. They're looking for a replacement. Zelensky's term is up on May 20th. The elections were supposed to be held. He suspended the elections. So the new president would have been inaugurated May 20th, May 21st. Zelensky's, prevented that. He wants to stay in power forever. And I don't think that's going to happen, particularly because the front is collapsing for the Ukrainian army across the front. Russia has been pushing, and it's just starting to come apart at the seams. So, yeah, Zelensky's time is short.
You mentioned a couple of things there I want to unpack. Let's talk about the Nazi elements, the neo-Nazi elements in Ukraine that are not happy with Zelensky. Of course, they've clashed over the years,
Right.
and they have not been supportive of him for a long time. Can you talk about that? Why would they want him out of there?
Well, they see him as losing the war. You gotta have somebody to blame. You don't blame yourself for your own incompetence. But the right sector, the Azov battalions in particular, part of why they blame him is because they were very close with Zelensky. The West should harbor no delusions about Zelensky. He was a hardcore, aligned himself very much with the neo-Nazis. So they blame Zelensky for that first and foremost. It'd be one thing if Zelensky had ousted Zelensky and Sersky came in and all of a sudden Ukraine was enjoying victory. But it's just been the opposite. They've been losing territory much faster than any time in the previous 2 years. And this is only likely to accelerate in the coming days.
in the coming days. Of course, there had been some hope, I think, on the Russian side that they would have secured total victory in Donetsk, in the Donbass region, for Victory Day. That's something they could talk about openly. I think there's obviously, that's still not complete yet. So it looks like we'll see further movement there. But Russia's Dmitry Medvedev is pointing the finger squarely, basically, at the CIA. And Western-backed powers, and says that Zelensky has used up his usefulness and that Russia is not in the business of assassinating foreign leaders. I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is what Medvedev, in response, because they said it was a Russian plot to kill Zelensky, and as you pointed out, that's hilarious. It's not the case. He says, quote, an attempt on the life of the chief Banderite, Zelensky, in Poland. This is truly serious, Medvedev commented in response to the arrest of the Polish man. It may be the first piece of evidence that people in the West have made a decision to liquidate him. Be afraid, clown. So do you
I love Medvedev. I mean, he just gets
he never
great
pulls
material.
punches. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that the three-letter agency, are we talking CIA, which has multiple offices, obviously helped foment the coup in 2014 and put in this Western-backed government there? What is your sense of this? I mean, they would use proxies to carry out these types of things as they do routinely around the world, but you know these guys.
I don't think they're going to be the prime mover in this, but they could certainly be the facilitator. Look, Zelensky's got enough enemies within the ranks of the military. Just the number of casualties that they've suffered. And then on top of it, you've got the other dimension of those Ukrainians who want to end this war, who don't want to be sent to the front as cannon fodder. And, within that group, you've got parents and aunts and uncles and different relatives that, they're enraged. So he's facing this, but it wouldn't be beyond, it's true, the history of the CIA is rife with examples where they at least hatched assassination plots. But like in the case of Ngo Diem, the Vietnamese president, the United States made it clear they wanted to get rid of him, but it was the Vietnamese generals themselves that took it upon, made the decision to whack him and to kill him, and then that led to an unraveling of policy in Vietnam. This may be, as Yogi Berra said, deja vu all over again. That Zelensky's his expiration term is up, and they're going to think it'd be more useful to get somebody else in there, and all this is going to do is fuel corruption and instability. This is not going to fix the situation.
I think that's a great point. Maybe not the prime movers behind the scenes, but the facilitators, the CIA, actively finding the right people and making sure that the money flows in the right direction to the people to carry it out. So we can sort of wipe our hands of it.
Yeah.
Just like the Nord Stream pipeline.
Yeah, we didn't do that. Who, us? No, that wasn't us.
Right. It's a brilliant move. So I'll just get you out of here on this, Larry, which is, of course, we're approaching this end of his term, and then the elections are suspended. What do you think is going to happen over the next few weeks with Zelensky? Will he be replaced? Will he be exiled? Will he be ousted? What's your sense of that?
Well, let's go back to what Medvedev said. We don't kill leaders. We're not going to assassinate people who are in office. When Zelensky's office expires, his legal term expires, that caveat no longer applies. I think at that point the Russians could kill him, could take him out and take out his government, because from their standpoint it would be viewed, he's no longer a legitimate president. He has become an interloper, a tyrant, and so therefore he would be fair game. The military situation on the front is really be the primary thing dictating the upheaval that will take place in Kiev, because it's not just at one spot. When you look at along that entire 1,000-kilometer line, the Russians are taking one village a day, at least one village a day, moving forward, and it's now acquired a momentum like a big rock rolling downhill. And it's not going to stop until they reach Kiev and Odessa. That's where this is headed. And the West is panicked. It has no idea what to do.
I was going to ask you that. What is NATO going to do now? I mean, we saw Macron backing down the other day, and now will NATO back down? Will NATO go home with its tail between its legs, or try to continue this? I saw someone saying the other day that this is going to be like Biden's Vietnam, basically a protracted, multi-year funneling of money into this mess for many, many years to come. Do you think that's the case, or NATO goes home with its ball?
No, the foreign minister Lavrov at the foreign ministry laid down on behalf of Putin very clear markers. If those F-16s come into theater, they're dead, because Russia's going to treat them as a nuclear capable threat. That's number one. Number two, the only way NATO could try to intervene, they would have to start mobilizing forces and moving them towards the border of Ukraine. But this is not like the Gulf War, where the United States had 6 months of luxury to, round up troops and send them to Saudi Arabia and put them into bases and run training missions. Russia's not going to allow that, because they can see that kind of development. So NATO is good at talking, but as we saw with both Macron and Cameron, David Cameron in the UK, who said, "Oh yeah, I encourage the Ukrainians to launch our missiles, into Russian territory," he backed away from that pretty quick too. The truth is this: NATO can't do anything effectively. They can't, because their entire model is flawed. They're based upon a notion that they're going to have a quick victory, going to be engaged in a peer-to-peer battle of attrition or war of attrition, and they're simply not equipped to carry out such an activity. That's what has been demonstrated over the last 2 years, as we've seen, the failure of the HIMARS, the failure of the ATACMS, the failure of the Leopard tanks, the Challenger tanks, the M1 Abrams. I've been hammering this statistic. Think about this. For every 1 hour of combat operations with the M1 Abrams tank, be in the shop to be fixed for 8 hours. Imagine
Wow.
if you were back in the United States and you're going to take your family on a vacation. You're going to drive from Washington, D.C. down to Orlando to go to Disney World. And that's about a 16-hour trip, 16, 17 hour. So for every hour you're on the road, you're going to have to pull over and get the car repaired for 8 hours. It'd take you 2 weeks to get there. That's NATO right now.
That puts it in stark terms. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
You've been right all along about this. We'll be watching this very closely over the next few days. Seems like we're at a major tipping point moment here. Larry Johnson, great to see you as always. Thanks so much.
Pleasure to be with you. Thanks, Clayton.
I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. YouTube thinks that you'll actually like this next video right here. It's personalized based on your own viewing habits. So if you watch the video, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it. And we will see you next time, everyone.